Gemina, tú eres Géminis.
Mi mamá es Géminis.
Mira, remember that today is in the American dialect.
Oh, yes.
Of English.
Yes.
English only.
Yes.
The language of the Queen.
English.
Why am I talking like those characters from? What is that Rita Moreno play? The fucking
Maria.
I like to live in America. I fucking hated that movie.
¿Cómo se llama esta cabrona?
Rita Moreno.
No.
What was the name of that movie? The name of
like the
West Side Story.
West Side Story.
The Colombian lady.
Did you like it? Did you like West Side Story?
Sofia Vergara.
I didn't.
Sofia Vergara had that really thick accent. She can talk anyway. I don't.
She's annoying as.
She cannot get anything wrong.
Can't say it.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody to our second edition of Mofongo Wars. Ladies and gentlemen, first off, I want to acknowledge the presence of the one and only Luis Met.
Thank you. Yes.
He made it.
Yes.
You recovered account the next day. That's some big karma right there, bro.
I've got my main account back, which is good.
You got your main account back. You did it, Luis.
Yes, 51,000 followers. So we're good. We're back at it.
51,000 followers. That's a good amount.
That's a great amount in 2 months.
Yeah. Listen, if I get my account deactivated like that, I'm like, fuck TikTok. I'm not doing it anymore.
Bro, I'm telling you, that shit hurt.
So I have a question about the English flags. Can we see the F word? What can we see?
Well, we can't know it because the TikTok algorithm catches crap in English. So if you're gonna say something, if you wanna like spout some crap, then you say, "Mama bicho," and that the algorithm will be like, "Mama bicho, what's this? What is the Mama bicho?
So,
what does it mean?"
Personally, I prefer huele. I think
huele with G. So listen, welcome everybody to our second edition of Mofongo Wars. We are excited to have everyone on this one because now I got a new ring light, which is great. So now everybody can see my face. So I can go you fucking knew. I got a new ring light. And we're going to, wait, I haven't recorded it.
Oh, start doing that shit. Yo, somebody has a question. He's like, I have a serious question for you, my friend. Someone in the comments.
I just see somebody here like talking about Mussolini.
But she's talking about someone else though. It's not the same Mussolini from Italy.
But like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Like, we haven't even started.
People are saying fancy with the ring light.
Yeah.
I'm looking white. I'm looking white like Sammy Sosa. Looking pink. Listen. So I thought people were saying they can't hear me. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear. I think I don't know. Like, is my level of your face?
Let me take my pod.
See that's the same thing was happening to me. Took them off.
I hear you perfectly fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I hear you. Okay, well, no pods then. Great. I spend this money for nothing. They sound great, but not with this.
No, wait. When you make videos with them, they're perfect.
When I make videos, it's just the live.
Yeah. It's too much.
It's weird. We need to get Luisito a ring light because he looks a little bit on the darker side.
No, porque la luz.
Listen, so welcome everybody, and we just want to talk. We just want to talk about Puerto Rico, and I am excited for this one because people ask me a lot of questions all the time about Puerto Rico. They don't understand the relationship with our island and a lot of other things, and this is the time. So you guys can ask anything. You know, we have a lot of stuff in our heads that we want to talk about, but obviously we want to open it up to the public and to let people just ask away. But I know Tita had some thoughts on what does it mean to be a Boricua versus a Puerto Rican, which I thought was interesting when you brought it up.
Yeah. So I think we use the words Puerto Rican and Boricua interchangeably, and they do not necessarily mean the same thing, because Puerto Rican nationalist construction, uh, it is a political construction. It is also tied directly with colonization, with Spanish colonization, and Boricua is more about our ethnicity as original people, as indigenous
Yeah.
people of Boriquen,
Yeah.
and not tied with the conceptions of colonialism or other languages like Spanish. And that's why it is very interesting when people say Boricua en la Luna, Boricua even at the moon, even if I'm at the moon. It doesn't matter where you are, or
Right.
some instances, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be Boricua de corazón. You can be Boricua from your heart. Even if
Yeah.
your ethnicity does not belong to Puerto Rico or to this construction of Puerto Rico that we have as a nation.
Right.
And I think it is because it is not tied to those colonial conceptions such as the eugenistics, right? Because the truth is that our ancestors, their point of their view of the world has nothing to do with that, and more with the conception of what we understand as tribe and tribal understanding that comes from an exchange of cultural stuff or goods, etc. All these exchanges that come thousands of years before the Spaniards arrived.
Right.
And I think that because it is not a written history, we tend to forget a lot about that. And then we use all these terms interchangeably. And then oftentimes that term of Boricua is more adopted by those of us that emigrate from the island,
Right.
and then find our identity in this humongous other world, because the truth is that the island life sees the island as their world,
Right.
their
Right. Because they don't
map.
know better. Yeah. I think that, yeah, I think being Boricua and being Puerto Rican is slightly two different things,
And
because we are a mixture, right? We are Taino from the indigenous blood of the Tainos that were living in Puerto Rico before the colonized got there. But we also have that African side and that African blood. And
yeah,
we also have the Spaniard side. So it's like you can be all three, or you can be none, or you can be one of them. It's very odd how we identify.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the main problem with the word Boricua lately is that it's been kidnapped by certain groups and it does not pertain to them. It is not a political movement, but being Boricua
Yes.
is not a movement. It is not. And even though, like, now we're using this concept of like Afro Boricua, right? But if we think about it, um, the time where our Afro, I don't want to say African we can say African ancestors, but the conception, the idea of Africa did not exist by the time that they came in the through the transatlantic trade. That's something very
Right.
modern. And
Mm-hmm.
in that time, they became Boricua. The cimarrones, the maroons, they became Boricua because they escaped to the mountains, to the bayous, to the places where a lot of the descents of our indigenous people were, and they were the ones that taught them how to use like the medicine, the things that they needed for their practices and their ancestral knowledge. So in that interchange for survival, I think it became Boricua. So I know that now we want to use all these prefixes to identify in a word that is obsessed with labeling us and putting us apart. But my belief is that that first generation of Maroons that escaped from the condition of slavery, they became Boricua in our land. They became one with the land, one with the people. What, like, you know.
You want to hear something that really pisses me off? Do you remember that guy that comes into his page all the time and he has like 5,000 followers and he's Puerto Rican? He's from Florida, who talks shit all the time about how Puerto Rico is dirty. You remember him, right? The other day, he said somebody told him something about Trump, and he's like, "Nobody cares, dude. Trump 2024, woo!" and all that. And then somebody commented in his comments, "This country used to be great when people with blue eyes and white skin ran the country, and now we're losing it as we speak." Completely white supremacist comment, right? And then he, who is Puerto Rican and passes as white because he's white as snow, had Taino symbols in the back, like in drawings and paintings in this house. And I was ready to make a video about it and tell him, you know what, dude? You have somebody speaking about white supremacist talking points in your own forum, in your page, in your comment section. You have not deleted it. You're supporting basically racism by allowing this crap to be spewed in your own page. And, oh, Tita, she got caught by the Trumpers. And then he had the audacity to add Taino symbols in the back. I'm like, you should take those down because you do not represent indigenous tribes of Puerto Rico.
Going back to the Boricua and Puerto Rican subject, like, bro, this is the first time I hear that there's a difference between being Puerto Rican and being Boricua. Like, for me, like, if you're born in Puerto Rico or you're born in the States, but you have Puerto Rican parents, you're still a Boricua. For me, like, I don't be like, oh no, you're Puerto Rican, you're not Boricua. You're Boricua, you're not Puerto Rican. Like, that's the first time I hear there's a difference between those two words. Because I thought that was just words to describe people from Puerto Rico, or I mean, or Puerto Ricans, with Puerto Rican blood. Like, for example, la palabra like borincano, borinqueño, like, I thought it was like a word to describe people of Puerto Rican descent or Puerto Ricans. So, like,
yeah.
So I like listening to people talk and be like, no, Boricua's different. Like, I don't know. It's
well, you probably don't have that problem. You're probably Boricua because you, based on the color of your skin, I can tell that you have a percentage of Taino and you just like me. But Boriquen is the name that was basically bestowed upon the natives, right? It's just different. I think what's more controversial is, I'm trying to get Tita in because she dropped. Let me try it again. What I do think is more controversial is if you are Puerto Rican or not, if you are born outside of the island, which I made a video on it the other day. And a lot of people feel left out because they don't speak Spanish or they're born outside of the island and they feel like they're not Puerto Rican, or people from the island make them feel like they're not Puerto Rican. See, because New Yorkers are copies.
Every time I see that, I view them as my Puerto Rican brothers. Like, I never, I've seen that happening, and if I see it, I'm gonna stop it because I'm against it. Like,
listen, give me 1 second because Bella is suggesting that I close the app and I open it again. I'm gonna try Tita one more time, and if it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to close the app and open it again.
Right.
I really dislike this app. It's always the same problem, and I wanted to do like one full shot, and I think it's not gonna work. Let me see if she can connect now. Oh, good. I didn't want to make a second shot like last time. I'm like, I hope he can come in.
It like the audio just cut,
It happens. Luis and I were just talking about Puerto Ricans that are born outside the island versus Puerto Ricans that are born in the island, and how other Puerto Ricans exclude them, making them think that they're not true Puerto Ricans.
Yes, I think that's really, really silly. And it also, you know what? I'll say it. It also comes from the infection of the North, the Anglo-Saxon, like the North American, the United Statesians, because y'all are not American, you're United Statesians.
Yeah, correct. America starts in Canada in Santa Claus house and
it
finishes in the Patagonia.
it ends in Brazil.
Literally, anyone that can't get a visa or can't enter the United States legally say that because they're just mad at the United States. Oh no, you can't say America because America's the el continente. Like, come on, bro. Like, this country's been here for like 240 plus years, and they be calling themselves that. Like, everybody knows them.
Yeah, but you can call yourself something and have it be wrong forever.
So
that doesn't mean that it's correct. And and
no.
listen, here's the worst part. Here's the worst part. It comes from a place of ego because Americans think that they are America and this is all America. No, America is a bunch of stuff. That's why I love Rene Calle 13's new song, This Is Not America. Because it speaks to another volume of people that just simply feel excluded, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's American centrism. It's North American centrism, and it's always been that way.
So so for example, so the name, like, I like this topic a lot. Look, so for the name of this country, like United States of America, then you have Mexico, United States of Mexico. So they call themselves Mexicans. So in the United States, they call themselves Americans because if you name United States of America, so
yes, but you have to understand that Mexicans, o sea, Mexicans, as we understand now, is, you know, that nation, like that understanding of political identity. But the word Mexico, it is not even Mexico. It's from the Mexica people, from their ethnicity. So I think that if somebody has the right to call themselves Mexicanos or Mexicanos, are them, because it appeals to their ethnicity, to their ancestral roots. Right. When you compare it to America, that is this is not America. Like the continent is not America. America is the name that Americo Vespucci, an Italian, gave to this area of the world, but they were not from here. So that's why, for example, if you speak with I don't know, Yaqui people from, you know, what we know as Native Americans, but they're not a whole thing. They're heterogeneous. If you speak to like Yaqui people or Cree people, they will talk to you about Turtle Island, not America. They will talk to you about Turtle Island, the whole continent with the islands, with the Antilles, with what we know as Boriquen and Quisqueya and Cuba. Cuba never changed their name from their indigenous name. Cuba has always been Cuba. But like, so when we use these words, we have to always be aware that these are constructs made by invaders.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's done by the people who run the show, and it's, you know, they always want to classify us and put us in boxes because it's easier for them. It's not easy for us, but for them, it's convenient.
A lot of people don't know the difference between Mexicans and Hispanics. Yeah, and also like a lot of people don't know the difference between Hispanic and Latino, like, which are both constructions from the Europeans, the westernization of this side of the world. But yeah, but like I feel like sometimes we get caught on very unfruitful conversations and debates because, let's be honest, what difference does it make if we are arguing about, are we Caribbean or Latino?
Zero.
Because Caribbean is another construction from the Western world, and it comes from the word that, from the etymology of the word is cannibal, as in people that eat meat. Yeah. So these are the ways they constructed our people in order to excuse their colonization and their Christianization, and their paternalism and their idea of, oh, these people are savages and these people do not know the real God and these people are not civilized and how they construct this idea of the savage in order for them to excuse what they did.
Yep. I say I call myself whatever the fuck I want. Because in reality, I identify what I want to, like I said in one of my videos. What if I want to identify as a toaster oven? I don't give it, like I don't care. But a lot
Mira,
of people want to immediately, well, you're not this, you're this. I'm
mira,
like,
one of your followers says, separate the people from the language, you control the people. And this is very interesting because it's part of the things you need in order to enslave people. You need to make sure that they are stolen away from their culture, from their mechanisms of defense, from their language. And then in a certain way is what they did also with the indigenous people by little erasing their identity. And they gave us this other mother tongue, and now we don't know. All that we have is a reconstructionist language of what we call the Taino language.
yep.
And I know there's a lot of people that have get into this unfruitful conversation about, are we Taino or are we Boricua? Taino is a place in Italy. Yes, it is. It is. But we have to also understand that we have had 500 years of Taino, 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 Taino. How else are we able to connect with it?
I don't, I listen, I fall into the habit of not letting anybody correct me from my reality, right? Because a lot of people want to tell you, well, this is this. And I always ask them, are you from Puerto Rico or were you born there? No, then you have no say in it because we have adopted a culture that is ours and we see it as a holistic thing. It's our vision. And I think a lot of people want to put labels on us and want to tell us how to think and how to act and how to identify, and that can get old, you know?
And the truth is that when you are in Puerto Rico, you identify as Puerto Rican and you identify as whatever town that you are from. And in the same way from whatever barrio or neighborhood that you are from. Because that island is your macrocosmos.
Correct.
You're there. There's
Yeah,
no other way to see the world unless you're out of there, and then you can have a different perspective of the world.
exactly.
But
Except
otherwise,
for Luis Med because he's from Ponce and no one cares about Ponce. But
Oh yeah,
everybody else.
yep. Without yo, so now that you mention, so without Ponce, you wouldn't have three governors, one of the main leaders of the pro-independence movements in Puerto Rico, Pedro Albizu Campos, that's one, Roberto Sánchez Vilella, Luis A. Ferré,
so
Rafael El Colón.
the three major parties.
Yeah.
You must carry that Pedro Albizu one heavily, huh, Luis?
Nope.
That your town is the one that produced the largest hater of America, of the United States, to ever live in Puerto Rico, in my opinion. Don Pedro Albizu Campo, el Doctor Pedro Albizu Campo, which he is great. You got to read the history.
He was very smart. Very
Oh,
smart.
he's brilliant. Yeah, he was one of the most brilliant Puerto Ricans to ever live. But it's funny how sometimes I quiero quiere caldo de dando tazo. Listen, somebody was asking me on another lighter note. Somebody was asking me, I'm going to Puerto Rico for the first time. Where should I go? There's a lot of places you can go.
Yeah.
Usually Old San Juan, because Old San Juan is like, it's common, right? For us, it's like, God dang, Old San Juan again. But for somebody who's never seen it, I took Amy, and Amy was like, oh my God, this is so nice. And I was like, yeah, let's hurry up and get the fuck out of here.
Also, go to Loíza.
Loíza is a cool place to go. They have good food, good music. Yeah.
Of bomba.
Just not Ponce.
Yo, Luis, So I don't know if you guys know, but the history of Loiza is very complex. In fact, because in 1977 they were, because of white supremacy in Puerto Rico, so that people that deny that shit, that town Loiza was divided because it used to be part of Canóvanas. In
Right.
1977, they split those two towns because you want to know why? Because Loiza was a majority black part of the town. So
Still is.
they divided those two cities into two different pueblos. Canóvanas and Loiza.
Lo,
1970. Fun
Lo,
fact.
today is still known as Loiza Aldea.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. I don't think there's anything more racist than that.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Loiza and the people of Loiza is that, you know, we're so proud of it. And the story behind it is the Marunas. These were people that did not wait until Spain abolished slavery. These are our ancestors who fled and came back and burned the plantations and steal from them and created their own community and escaped slavery. They freed themselves. And I want to make very clear that the abolition of slavery, yes, there were people that were mixed and some white people that were allies, which I hate that word. But the truth behind the abolition of slavery is that they freed themselves. They turned the economy into a point where it was just not profitable anymore. So that's why they pushed until that abolition to happen.
Somebody's asking, why is Loiza Aldea racist? Why is it calling it?
The name itself.
So Loiza comes from an indigenous chief, a female chief.
Aloisa, right?
Juisa.
Mm-hmm.
Juisa, which is the woman that when you ask Google says like, who is the perfect race? It comes from her DNA. She was the perfect human being. So, but aldea means village in a very despective way.
Yeah, that's why they call it aldea. It's like, oh, you people live in the little,
like tribal, like
correct. But I do agree that they claimed it as theirs. It's like the N word, kind of. It's very cool how they did that. They were crafty about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you still go to like businesses over there where they do bombi plena, which is a traditional African dance, and you will see the signs that says Loiza Aldea. I think it's actually kind of cool that they twisted it and they made it their own. But yeah, Puerto Rico, Loiza is a nice place to go. I actually, Ponce is a nice place to go. I always tell people that they should go to the other side of the island. They shouldn't stay in San Juan, because San Juan is just like, it's a lot of colonization influence. It's nice. It's kind of cool to see, but at the same time, they should see the other sides of the island, like Rincon, Isabela, Aguadilla, Mayagüez. I love going. I just hop on my car every time I visit Puerto Rico and I go. I don't even stay in Carolina, which is my hometown. I'll stay one day or two just to say hi to my family, but I like going to the other side of the island.
Yo, we have here a PhD, Dr. Fanny, PR 96.
I can't see that, eh?
She graduated from PhD with me, and she's an expert in the topic, so I guess she wants to comment.
I'm fine. If we could have her as a guest, I don't think we can.
Luis.
It's sad we talk about racism, and we have it in our island.
Oh, yeah. Well, no doubt.
The thing is that the difference between one thing and the other is that I believe in the United States, racism is systematic, and what we have in the island, it is more of a class system.
Yes, class.
Or like colorism.
It is,
but it is a specter of white supremacy.
Colorism rooted in white supremacists and the idea of whiteness as being the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, but if you compare, for example, the United States and the Caribbean, the difference will be that when it comes to the times of struggle, the people will will be allies within classes different from here in the United States when you have like really poor white people voting against things that will put wealthy black people above them.
Yep.
But in the islands, you can see where poor black people and poor white people will come together, and the rich, either if they're black or white, they will come together because the class system. And it is also because during our almost 500 years of Spanish colonization, color and class were negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Like titles, you could purchase your color on paper. I'm a historian. I work all the time with primary sources, and you can trace people as they change their class and color status on paper as they pay for titles and color. So it's very interesting and very different from the United States in that sense of how the society was constructed. Because in the United States, you have a binary society where you have whites and non-whites, and in Latin America and the Caribbean, you have this problem of colorism
Yep.
that
Which
creates.
is again, it's rooted in white supremacy because we haven't been taught different. When
Mm-hmm.
we were colonized, that's what we were taught. So it's like, okay, well then I guess I'm gonna do the same stupid shit, and we kind of adopted that in that sense. Even though we're all Puerto Ricans and nobody gives a shit about us at the end of the day, but there is that class system where if you're in Guaynabo, it's different than in your Luisa. It's
But in
kind of odd.
states, we are just non-whites. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And somebody here is commenting like, "Oh, the racism in the islands is just the same like the United States."
No,
Well,
it's not the same.
I wish I could agree with you, but the truth is that me and so many other scholars have agreed that it is not. And we don't talk about opinions; we talk about things that you can measure.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it
It's
is
different. It's different. It's different.
not.
We don't have the Ku Klux Klan in Puerto Rico. it,
We don't have, because then there's this thing like there is this writer from Puerto Rico. She is an Afro Boricua, as people will say in the United States, because we don't use that over there. Um, and she says the thing in Puerto Rico is that some of us are evidently black and some are not, but
mm-hmm.
we're still black, and it is still our story.
Oh
Our
yeah.
and we continue talking about we and us, even though some people are evidently black and some people are not. But
Yeah.
we have this saying of "Y tu abuela dónde está?" Where's your
Yes.
grandmother? Where's your ancestors?
At
You know,
least we claim our African ancestry. We claim our history, unlike our neighbors to the west. I'm not gonna mention anybody. Not gonna mention them, but we do know what's happening over there. Our neighbors to the west, they are in fact 95% black, and they still deny I'm no black. I'm and they say the words. So I'm not getting into the topic because I've had like arguments with like 10 of them. Like they're literally like they're black. Like they look black, and they like no. I'm not black. They look black, and they like no. I'm not black. My grandma, she's white, blue eyes. I'm not black. I just can't do it. I'm like, bro,
A lot of people will deny it from the
relax. It
Caribbean.
hurts me. It hurts me because I mean, black is a beautiful color. Like it is, and it hurts me to see people doing that shit. That shit's mad stupid in my opinion. But yeah,
It
I'm
is.
not even where they're
That's
from,
why
but
you shouldn't vote for Trump.
and at the end,
I'm still. That's not the
I
topic.
got you, bitch.
I'm not afraid to say
I
that I'm a
got you.
Republican. I'm a Republican. Like, what's wrong? There's not.
Hey,
mira,
you can be Republican and not. Hey,
I
listen. Don't give me no. Hold on. Don't give me that shit. Whoa, I'm Republican. You can be Republican and not vote. I know a lot of Republicans who are not voting for Trump, so spare me the bullshit.
I
But
said
you're right.
we're
But
talking
it's
about
so
how
good. It's so good. This
republicanism is a weird construct.
No, but listen, Luis was gonna say something. What were you gonna say?
No, I said I don't care. Bro. I'm voting for Trump, and so are a lot of people. But I mean, if you want to vote for Biden, I mean, that's up to you. You know, he's doing so great right now.
I'll vote for anybody instead of Trump. Anyone.
No,
because he's perpetuating white supremacy, and you know it.
He's not. Do you have any proof of that?
What is it with you people and proof? Do you know how many Republicans go in my feed on my comments? It happened today. Show me proof. Give me the proof. What the hell is this proof?
Proving my points.
Listen, you don't know anything about rules of evidence. You never stepped in a law school a day in your entire life. Proof comes in many ways. If you see a guy stepping out of a bank with a handgun, does it mean he robbed the bank? No, right? Because it's circumstantial.
Mira, espérate. These are my notes.
Let's be serious, bro.
I am being serious, dude. You're always asking for proof. Some things are not self-evident, you know? You got to read between the lines sometimes.
Okay, yeah. These are my notes from today. There are, in the United States, 96 definitions of what republicanism is, because they pick and choose whatever they want, however, regardless
of two Democrats now.
What?
Two Democrats now. Let's see. We got how many? We got 96, right?
Democrats will have like 3.
Republicanism. Hold on, my notes. Republicanism has 2 different visions about democracy. One is demophobia, which is the vision of the world that is afraid of the poor, the masses of poor people being able to have a voice. And the second one is the elite one, the elitist one, which wants for a few people, elitists, to have control and be the voice of the people. So we're not going to talk about politics.
Well, we kind of are.
But this is like, bro, let's switch the topic. Really?
No, listen, I get it, because for Puerto Ricans, maybe it's different. And obviously, we're getting off topic because the topic is about Puerto Rico. I just find it funny how some Puerto Ricans want to fit their own narrative. You know, it's like, well, and I get it. It's always going to be, a lot of people say what you say. Well, I'm Republican. Well, you know, you can be Republican and not vote for him. And it was funny how people view Puerto Ricans as Republicans, because then I made that video saying that a lot of parties have both Democrats and Republicans, such as the PNP, working together.
Normally, saying
our issues are different.
Oh shit!
What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like how Puerto Ricans, they ask from independence from the states. Like it's very, oh man, so nice. Qué rico.
What do you think? That's a good question for the topic. What do you think? Listen, no. Listen, this is interesting. What do you think should be like independence? Let's not talk about statehood or the Popular Democratic Party just yet. Let's talk about independence. Do you think that independence should only be chosen by the people of Puerto Rico, that they're the only ones who should vote on it? Or do you think that it should be all Puerto Ricans, independent of where you live?
All Puerto Ricans should decide.
See, I disagree with that. Why do you think it should be all Puerto Ricans, even you and me who live in the United States?
Because that's going to affect how our island is going to be in the future. Like, for example, let's say...
But it doesn't affect you. You don't live there.
We don't own
the island. What if I want to go back?
You can go back.
Then you deal with whatever is left, but you can't make a decision based on a future that hasn't happened yet.
You know, we can agree or disagree. Like, either way, like...
No, this is an interesting discussion, because I really want to hear your thoughts on it.
No, I'm saying, like, we can agree or disagree. Like, let's say, all right, people that are outside the island can decide, but we let people in the island decide. I'm totally fine with that. But either way, state is going to win, regardless. So, I mean, I'm okay with that.
That's just you haciéndote una paja mental. I don't even have a translation for that.
In that, a little bit, because I think that until the boomers, are not gone, definitely,
Listen, we have a higher possibility of Puerto Rico becoming an independent nation than becoming a state. We really do.
But
Because it's like Congress is not going to vote for Puerto Rico to become a state. They don't give a shit about us. And this is coming from the mouth of an ex-statehooder who used to believe in statehood.
Let me tell you something, my friend. So I don't know if you know Congressman Darren Soto from Orlando, who I met. He's a Democrat, and I met him personally in 2019 in Florida. I went to Kissimmee, Florida, and I met him. I talked to him about it. He's like, yeah, we have, he told me like in person. I do, bro. Such a nice dude. He Puerto Rican. He's a Democrat, but he's such a nice guy. He's like, I asked him. He's like, I was like, you're working on the statehood bill and all that, and he's like, yeah, we're trying to push it in the House. Like, we started to talk to people and stuff. And he's like, he can have a lot of support. And right now, he has 81 congressmen supporting it. I mean, I know it's like 400 and some in total, but
81 is a lot.
It's a lot.
But in reality, what I think should happen is that only the Puerto Ricans living in the island should vote whether they want to become a state or an independent nation. Only because they're the ones that are going to have to deal with the immediate repercussions. But I do agree with you on something. You brought an interesting point, which I never thought of. And is what happens if you want to go back. And that might affect it based on an independent vote if Puerto Rico becomes an independent nation, because the plan will not be immediate. It will have to be like a 20-year plan as proposed back in the 1950s initially.
Like a 10 to 20 years. Like
it has to.
Or for the transition is going to take at least 10 years, you know.
Absolutely.
Like reform all the laws and shit, so it'll take
they cannot take your U.S. citizenship, and they cannot take your Puerto Rico.
No. Yeah, I agree. Independent of you having your citizenship, you should be able to retain it because it's an acquired right by birth and by an act of Congress. But
unless we fall into a dictatorship, which I think is what could happen if we don't fix our internal problems. Because I'll tell you this. We can become a state tomorrow, and we can become independent tomorrow. And if we continue to have the same families controlling the island, we are going to be very, very effed up.
That's why I should go run it, and you will be my resident commissioner, and Luis Med will find what he will do.
We'll send
I'll be that. I'll do that.
For real.
You want to be? Wait. You want to be what?
The president of the Senate, Rivera Chats.
You're gonna be Rivera Chats.
Oh yeah.
Luis is gonna run the Senate. Luis Med, you heard it right here.
Luis, I really think
you have to.
Oh, the mustache. So I really think Rivera Chats is like it's like a Puerto Rican version of Trump. I see it. He is.
Now I'm gonna be Rivera Chats.
It would actually be an improvement. In one of the comments. Listen, I would run for Puerto Rico, but I wouldn't run to administer the colony, not the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. That is trash. It just doesn't work. And my mother used to push it hard. There's still a lot of populares in the island that believe that we should remain exactly the same.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
And that is the worst idea on the planet.
Oh, yeah. But I'm telling you, like, in all honesty, like, for this election in 2024, the populares, they're going to finish third. Like, there's no way they're going to get second place. Like, they lost two elections in a row. Like, they're not going to win.
I think that, Luis, somebody said that you should be super independent. You should be the chief of police.
Shit, I'll do it. I'll be the next Pedro Toledo. Shit.
You will be bringing back mano dura contra el crimen. You will be like going to the caseríos with the military and shit.
Pedro Toledo was the GOAT, and he's the GOAT. But the one we have right now, he's okay. Like, I keep hearing my honest is like, oh, he's doing a great job. Like,
listen, sorry to interrupt you because this is a very good question and I don't want to miss it. Puerto Ricans says, what do you think is the main pro and con if Puerto Rico becomes a state?
Can I start?
Yeah.
So if Puerto Rico becomes a state, like, well, before I explain that, I want to tell everybody that we're not gonna lose our culture or flag. Like, we are gonna remain with our flag. That's the most important thing first. Well, a bad thing,
like Texas.
Yeah, bad thing about it is that we're gonna get a lot of people like coming into the island, and we're gonna get a lot of immigrants. We're gonna get a lot of people from the mainland moving in, which they're already doing. So they're
As
already
a state.
As a state, yeah, we're gonna get a lot of people coming into the island. A lot
It'll make no difference.
Yeah, but like it's gonna be like more solidity. That's what I'm trying to say.
They're gonna get deported anyways.
White people would take over like they did in Hawaii, bro.
Personally, I don't think so. Because I mean, if you compare the populations, so in Hawaii, when the white Hawaii, yeah, they only had like 50,000 native Hawaiians. There are 3.1 million Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico. Like that's virtually impossible to do that shit. I mean, unless you go to every house with like an AK-47, you're like, I want you to move because I'm buying everything. No, like.
Well, they're slowly but surely doing it with this new law where they're getting tax incentives.
Which I'm like.
Puerto Rico becomes a state, they will have to pay a ton of taxes like we do in the States. Bro, we already pay more taxes than many.
Yeah, we pay excise tax, we pay gift tax, we pay a bunch of other payroll tax, social security tax. We pay a ton of tax.
And farts.
In all honesty, if they remove Hacienda from the equation, which is our local taxation system, if they remove that and they replace it with like a local state tax, and then you supplement it with the federal tax, I think it might pan out. But the problem is, Luis Met got kicked. That's that Ukrainian connection. But I think taxes will be a big problem, but at the same time, we'll get more aid, and we'll get to vote for the president, which is super important. Because it really bothers me that we can't vote for the president. I have a big fucking problem with that. Because he can send us to war and we have no say on it.
Mira, ahí está Luis.
Yeah.
Luis is,
he fell off again. He'll come up again. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the topic of statehood in Puerto Rico is a complicated topic. I think it should be left to the people that live there to choose whether they want to become a state or not, or an independent nation. And I think that it will never happen. I think that Puerto Rico will never become a state. I really, really do.
It is because we're a business to them,
Yes.
And a lot of people don't understand all the money that comes out of Puerto Rico. And some of it is the taxation that we have, like the Jones Act.
Correct.
And is because we were in the 19th century, we were a sugar island along with Cuba. After the Haitian Revolution, we became the replacement. Cuba and Puerto Rico producing sugar to fit the needs of all the world, right? The European world, of course.
Yeah.
And what happened was that after the sugar plantation was not profitable anymore, and they little by little they made us into a consumerism economy, right?
And make that clear. Here's another thing. It's not that it wasn't profitable, it's that they extinguished it to the point where no Puerto Rican can benefit from it economically anymore. That's when Domino Sugar took over. Well, so it was the American industry stealing that from us. They basically took
something very in the history of sugar. Something very important was that when they discovered the way to make sugar with the beet sugar, that completely erased the market of cane sugar. I don't know if anybody is familiar about it, but like there's beet sugar, and beet sugar was
tastes like shit.
But it was cheap, etc. So yeah, and now we have this consumerism economy that is ingrained in us culturally because we want to show off. We want to show off, and that happens a lot here too with certain ethnicities too in the United States. We want to show off because we were so oppressed. We are the descendants of enslavement. That's who we are. and we like our indigenous ancestors were enslaved for gold, and then our African ancestors were enslaved for sugar cane. So we come from that, and that trauma that holds there make us want to show off all the time. So we want to buy, and
Listen, sorry to interrupt you, but this is another good question. Papa Bear is asking Luis Met, the future superintendent of the police in Puerto Rico. He is asking him, what do you see as a positive if Puerto Rico were to become independent?
Positive? The only good thing I can think of about is Puerto Rico getting independence from the United States. Like just the fact that we became independent from the United States, I think that's like
and we don't have an army.
Oh yeah, but that's just the fact that we will become independent from the United States. I think that's itself is crazy. Like
I'll give you three really fast ones and easy.
I'm not pro independence. I can't really think like of anything.
I'll give you three easy ones. Number one, the Jones Act is over. We don't have to pay tariffs in addition for barges coming into Puerto Rico and bringing in products from other countries. We can negotiate it directly. That in and of itself will save Puerto Rico billions of dollars a year. People have no idea how much the Jones Act takes from us. The United States takes from us.
But like, how are we gonna do for defense? Because we know what happens with the National Guard in Puerto Rico and what they actually do.
We don't need. Listen, there's a lot of countries that don't have an army, and they're fine. Costa Rica doesn't have an army, and they're okay. Nobody gives a shit about invading sloths. It's fine. People put in their heads that somebody is always looking out to invade you. That's a mentality that somebody is always looking out to invade you. That's a mentality that we can't have, because otherwise we will never be free. With Denmark or with Greenland or with Japan, I don't know. Any country that will want to have a relationship with us that's made out of commerce, and we have to give them a position in the Caribbean that's strategic so that they can get something out of it too.
I mean,
but there's plenty of countries. Don't you remember that Trump wanted to sell us to
for Greenland?
Yeah, they were like, we'll be happy to get them because you people are not doing right by them.
So it's how Puerto Rico is a colony right now. We're still doing better than more than 165 independent nations in the world. Puerto Rico itself, as a colony of the United States, is doing far better than 165 countries in the world. Like we're doing, like I'm talking about, like Human Development Index, like far beyond, like even better than Ukraine, Moldova, fucking Romania.
That's undeniable. That's undeniable. That's fine, but. Like what we can say is
Washington
that everything is perfect, because it's not.
No. The truth is, the Washington DC is full of us. The FBI is full of us. The NASA is full of us. What we're doing is that we're going to colonize them. We're already in DC.
Luis, they're saying that you're on acids.
Mira,
I'm on acid. Yeah. So you know who's on acid? Whoever's supporting independence from the states, like getting all the benefits, like from the states, while you have your brothers and sisters fucking starving in the island, and like.
Hold on with the drama. This is not HBO. Right? Nobody's starving in Puerto Rico.
No, like.
Nobody right? Like the island, like in the island.
Like, are you okay with that? Like, are you crazy? Like, are you okay? Like, you wake up every morning and you like see yourself, oh yeah, I support independence, and then you have your people not having the same rights as you. Like, how hypocritical is that? Like,
no, that I agree with. But let's hold that hungry thing, because
he immediately put everybody in the thermal country bin.
That man was like 70 years old, and he was like pulling some roots from the land for eating, like some yame.
Dude, everybody has food in Puerto Rico.
But I always say that. Like, we don't have a good medical system. That is a basic need.
I would challenge that.
Imagine we're going
because
we don't know. Listen. I had knee surgery in Puerto Rico. Let me tell my story. I had knee surgery in Puerto Rico. let me tell my story. I had knee surgery in Puerto Rico. Knee surgery, reconstructive. I blew my meniscus in pieces playing basketball. My entire surgery, with one of the best trauma surgeons in Puerto Rico, Luis Rio Reboiras. The guy is like the shit. He does trauma in the ER over in Rio Piedras, which is one of the worst places to practice, and he is the one they call. He did surgery on me in Hospital Pavia. My entire surgery was $65. And I paid per month to Triple S, which was my insurance carrier in Puerto Rico, $200 a month for my family insurance. But Amy, my girl, Amy, pays $750. She got a mole removed from her face, a tiny cancerous mole removed from her face. It was $3,000 with insurance.
But Luis, in Puerto Rico, not everybody has $200 to pay monthly for their family.
But you have the Medicaid.
But you know that the Medicaid is very fucked up.
It is. But listen, we can say, but listen, this is disingenuous, Tita, because we're saying, oh, we have this great system here. We really don't, because we're paying a ton of money into it, and we even have to pay more on copays. So we're not really getting anything.
Our doctors and our nurses are fleeing the island because of that condition.
But that's greed. They're leaving. I have a friend who's a doctor. He stayed in Puerto Rico, and he's like, dude, you can choose to leave, and I can make 4 times what I make in Puerto Rico. I can make $400,000 a year. But for me, making $120,000 in Puerto Rico is fine, and I have a living. It's about greed. They want to make 10 times as much. That's all the reason.
I can't totally agree with that.
That's fine. That's fine, but I think the healthcare is a myth. There's a lot of good, competent doctors in Puerto Rico. A lot.
Business that grabs our doctors and nurses by the balls and do not let them to care for their patients the way they would, because they are not going to pay for it.
I agree with you on that. I agree that the system is choking them. I agree with you on that.
Very much so.
Yeah, because they just don't want us to, progress. Like, it's that thing of keeping us.
Oh, man, that's funny. She's funny as hell. Once we break free from the United States, the systems can properly be placed. Yeah. That's very funny.
Oh, I mean, anything is possible. Listen, with a plan, with a
know what the United States sends to Puerto Rico?
What?
The FBI to arrest the corrupt people. So, and even when they do that, we still have a humongous problem of corruption.
Yes.
Can you imagine if nobody stopped them ever at any point?
Hey, I have something to say. So
that's why Luisito has
going back to the independence subject, like, people are forgetting the fact that we have a high dependency on welfare in Puerto Rico. Like, that's like 35% of the population. Like, if we become independent, we're gonna be losing all those funds. Like, people that won't have that money. Like, we can't have independence and like with federal funds. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I want anybody in the comments that lives in Puerto Rico. If you live in Florida, that's not Puerto Rico unless it's Florida to Manatee. And get the government help and tell me how much money do you actually get, and if that allows you to survive. Because a lot of the problem with corruption in the island is that the system is made so that the people become corrupt as well. So,
yes.
So they cannot work a full time, because if they do, they won't be able to pay their Medicaid or their insurance, and they won't be even making enough to eat. So they will lose the benefits that are not enough either to live. So that's why people lie, and why people make all this weird.
But it's because there's a history of capitalism in Puerto Rico that was brought on forward by the United States during the colonization process, and it created these mega corporations that are paying people shit, and they themselves are making a ton of money. There's a few local businesses of Puerto Ricans that are making a living, and they are creating jobs, and it's locally owned. But the problem is that it's not large enough to have a sustainable economy where that all Puerto Ricans can make a decent living. If you're making a living in Puerto Rico, making $24,000 a year, it just makes no sense for you to stay. And that's why a lot of people leave. And that's why the economy isn't moving forward. It's because of these multinational capitalist American companies that are just taking over.
Claro. And they come to Puerto Rico and they give you conditions, the worst condition of work, and they, for any reason, they can like lower your hours, or they will give you like part-time with overtime, but not enough, so you're not full-time, so you don't get the benefits, so they can work their way around. So it is a tricky situation.
Yeah, it's the U.S. has a lot to do with it. You know, again, it's part of the colonization process. It's sad, you know, and there's also the wage gap, which is huge. There's a lot of people that are making a lot more than the people in the bottom 50%, and then you have this huge gap that is pretty much decimating the middle class. So Puerto Rico's future is not looking good, and then the people who are staying are non-productive because they're retired, they're older. It's bad, but if we have a well-placed plan where we can say, look, we need to become independent, and we do like a 20-year plan where we can grow wealth, and we also get reparations for all the bullshit that has been done to us by the United States, right? Like the contraceptive pill, like the bombings in Vieques, like the Agent Orange testing, and a bunch of other shit they have done, right? If we get reparations for that, because they owe us money for that,
If we get
then we can move forward.
And this don't steal the reparations because
Well,
of how they are, and that's a problem that we have. It's
that's
real.
a separate problem, but a problem nonetheless.
People want to blame everything in the United States, and yes, we are in a colonial relationship.
Listen, Papa Bear is saying whatever Luis is eating is good because he's drowning on it. Luis is like this right now off camera.
I am eating Panda, man. That's good as fuck.
Panda Express? What type of Puerto Rican are you?
Hey, today's my Friday, man. Relax.
I bet there's no Puerto Rican food in California, right? There's hard to
There
get.
is any. Well, in San Diego, but San Diego's like 6 hours from where I'm at.
That is the only good thing about the Devil's Waiting Room, right? About Florida. You can always get like Puerto Rican food.
That's the best
Everything
part.
else is shit. I could live with the food in Florida, and everything else you can just throw it in a bin.
In the swamp.
Yeah. The Devil's Waiting Room. It has nothing good. Nothing good comes out of Florida except
nothing
Puerto
good but Taino Bakery and Melao Melao.
In a few months, we're gonna outnumber the Cuban population in Florida.
Oh my God! Thank the heavens.
We're colonizing Florida.
Oh yeah. We got bomb Mexican food in Cali. They do. You guys have a bunch of good Mexican food. They have fish tacos. Bro, fish tacos are amazing.
In California, like California's like Mexico. Like
you're in San Diego, Luis. You got good Mexican like fish tacos in San Diego.
Everywhere.
It's because California used to be part of Mexico.
It used to be part of the Spanish Empire. Thank you very much. And
listen, I live in Colorado. There's no Puerto Rican food. If you want Puerto Rican food in Colorado, you have to go to Colorado Springs. It's like an hour and a half from where I live in Denver, and it is good, but it's a drive.
Dang.
Speaking of food, when I was in Puerto Rico, I couldn't find a place to sell me authentic pasteles. Suggestions. Kelly Kelts.
You have to somebody's grandma, bro. That's not.
No, listen. They sell them in Plaza Las Americas, which is horrible. It's horrible to say. It's horrible to say, but they sell them in Plaza Las Americas. There's a place at the mall. I shit you not. My mom gets them there where you can go to Plaza Las Americas and there's like a little place by the dozen. And they're actually good. Isn't it terrible though? That you go buy pasteles to a mall?
I think,
oh my God.
I think it could get worse if you say like Mall of San Juan.
Oh my God. But yeah, pasteles are great. I haven't had pasteles in a while. They're so good. Luisito, come stay at my house in Kissimmee. We can all go to Puerto Rican spots on me. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, man, the Devil's Waiting Room. They got good food.
Without picture, I wouldn't go.
The only problem is that then I have to deal with the zombies that are walking around the street on bath salts, eating people. No thanks. You arrive at that mall over in Orlando. That's like 28 days later. I watch enough episodes of The Walking Dead to know what's going on down there.
For people that are from New York and they're moving down to Florida, please don't New York, my Florida. Like if you move from a Democrat state because you were voting Democrat and they ruined your fucking state.
Listen, give me 1 second. So I have my net honor first. Did you get the book yet? Yes, I got the book. It's in my desk. He sent me a book on Taino history. It's a fictional book about a Taino. I'll do a video about it because I actually find the book very interesting. But yes, thank you. I did get it. But yeah, I'm reading the comments here because I want to interact with our followers. Luis Denver has Sabor de Campo in Vallejo Street. Yeah, but I was there and the Sabor de Campo didn't have much sabor. I was a little bit disappointed. Yeah, there's a lot of people that claim they can make. There was a guy Springs and he said it was authentic Puerto Rican food. And then I found out that the guy was Brazilian. And I'm like, I knew something was up in that arroz con gandules because it tasted like
vaya tan lejos. Kissimmee. In Kissimmee, there's like 10 Puerto Rican restaurants that are owned by like Dominicans, Cubans, anything but Puerto Ricans. It's crazy.
Dude, I went to Orlando to Poinciana one time. And my friend and I were hanging out. He's Puerto Rican. It was like 11 p.m. on a Thursday. And I'm like, man, I could really use some Puerto Rican food. And he's like, let's go. And I'm like, dude, it's 11 p.m. on a Thursday. We hopped on a car. We went to a little cart, and it was a Puerto Rican cart. They have mofongo. I even have morcilla in Florida. And it was good, too. Like blood sausage that we make with the pig intestines, and we fill it with rice. And it's delicious.
Mira, I think the worst part, the biggest red flag is when you see the word authentic.
Just every time. Just leave. Puerto Rican food. I'm like,
oh shit.
Con esa guayaba.
Mira, esta gente, they love morcilla.
I love morcilla.
I can't. Sorry. But
I love morcilla.
Enjoy for me.
La morcilla es buena.
La morcilla es riquísima. ¿Cuál te gusta a ti, Luisito? ¿La gorda o la larga?
I'm so glad you guys love it.
Me gusta la gorda así, bien asquerosa, grande así.
Bien así, bien.
If I were to eat a morcilla, I will have the fat one, not the long.
We need, mírate, escúchate, listen to Timeless. We need to move all Democrats to Florida. Bro, listen, nobody wants to go there.
Oh.
The only people who want to go there are Republicans.
That's a lie.
Because they're crazy enough to.
That's a lie.
Bella says someone wanted to hear Tita speak Spanish.
Tita le mete el español también, chacho. Hay que le...
Pero ¿y qué ustedes se creen si yo me mudé para Estados Unidos antier de esta gente? Papá, yo soy de Vega Baja, Puerto Rico.
¿De dónde?
Ay, ya.
De Vega Baja, Puerto Rico.
Eso se come, ese pueblo. ¿Cómo es? Eso se come. ¿Qué? ¿Ah?
The town of Bad Bunny.
Oh, shit. Someone wanted to hear Tita speak Spanish. That's great.
Eso, Baja, el capital, yeah.
Like Olive Garden is authentic Italian. Listen, let me tell you a story. My mom, let me tell you a story. My mother, God bless her soul. My mom loves Olive Garden. And every time she visits me in Colorado, I want to take her to, because Amy's like super fancy. She's like, oh, let's go to, I want to take her to, because Amy's like super fancy. She's like, oh, let's go to Uchi's. She likes the fanciest. And my mom is like, I want to go to Olive Garden. And we just like grab our heads like, what is happening? The Olive Garden.
Mira.
It's tragic.
What Miss Miriam says, Luis looks Dominican.
Oh, yeah, I look Dominican. Yeah, right.
How the fuck does a Dominican should look like?
No, but Dominicans are strong and ripped and play baseball.
I'm not on fat, so. Anyway.
Baseball, but.
Like she's saying I look Dominican. I probably know more Puerto Rican history than her. So I mean, it's whatever. Like, yeah.
Listen, before we leave, because we're already up, our hour is up of Mofongo Wars. This has been very interesting.
Very good.
Let's finish it up on a lighter note, with some good movie and TV series recommendations because tomorrow, and not tomorrow, Monday is the Oscars, right? I think Monday is the Oscars. And I saw an Oscar movie yesterday, one of the nominated ones called Licorice Pizza.
Mira
it was all right.
Dile ahí, Antillano, ¿qué lo que?
Yo, so hey, we should introduce ourselves too. Well, me, because I wasn't the last week.
Introduce yourself. Everybody knows who you are.
They know what I do for a living. I don't think they know.
Okay, hey.
Well,
it's his Leo moment. Come
on. Leo, I'm not a Leo. I'm a Libra.
Do it.
I swear you have a placement in Leo.
I'm not a Leo. I was born in October. Relax.
Listen, let Luis introduce himself because I want to see his introduction. This is a big moment.
All right,
let me get my ring light closer.
Luis, the Republican. Yeah, you're right, Kelly. Relax.
Luis, go ahead.
Born and raised in Puerto Rico. That's one. Born and raised in Puerto Rico. Moved to Florida when I was 13. That's my home state. I love that state to death. Florida.
That's where everything went wrong.
That's my home right there. 2019, I enlisted into the world's greatest Navy, the United States Navy in 2019. 2020 went to boot camp, passed boot camp. In August 2020, I got stationed in California. I'm here, and now I'm in the Navy. You know, kind of hating life sometimes. And then I have a roommate. He's a Marine from Georgia, racist as fuck sometimes. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's my boy. Say hi, bro.
He's gonna stab you.
No, he's not. He's
well,
cool.
At least you're in California, so now you came from the devil's waiting room to California, so things are moving up.
He brought me food. He brought me food today. So he brought me dinner, so I can't complain. You know.
Well, talk a little bit about you, Tita.
Tita, that's you. Go ahead.
Me what? Oh, so I'm Tita. Well, my name is Liz. It's not Tita, but call me Tita. And I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I moved to the United States in 2017. I'm a mom. I'm a professor, but I prefer to call myself a teacher because I think knowledge will not be confined to the elite, but the people. And yeah, that's what I do. I do many things.
There you go. There you go.
And sometimes I dance in TikTok.
There you go. Yeah. I tried that times and it didn't go well.
Malta.
Well, you all know me. I'm Luis. And I'm not going to let anybody steal my sunshine today. I am running for governor of Puerto Rico for 2028. No, I'm just fucking with you. No, you guys know me. Luis Osorio. Puerto Rican. Lawyer. TikTok aficionado. And I'm dating a MILF. Let's see if we can find it.
Dating a MILF?
Look at it! Oh, dating a nice little MILF. Say hi to everyone. She hasn't been in my videos in a while.
Mira, el gringo, mira. Talk to my boy right there, man.
She kind of retired. She's been retired. She's working a lot. She's making big bucks. She's getting the work.
22, he's a lawyer. I mean, he's still a Democrat, though, so, but that's fine.
Somebody's asking, am I a lawyer? You're new here. Yes, I am a certified barred attorney.
Dang.
For better or for worse.
People drink Malta from the bar. Like
Amy, they're saying, we love you, Amy. The people love you. She's like, I love people. Amy is half Puerto Rican. We're getting there. Yeah. Sometimes she asks me weird questions, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
So I can't freaking switch my camera here, but somebody here is asking for book recommendations. For Taino book recommendations, I think there's a book called Tainos and Caribe, but I don't know if it is in English.
I haven't heard of that one.
It is a classic. And then there is this book, Cal Puertorriqueños, that will especially help those that live in the United States and are second and third generation Puerto Ricans to I don't know if this book is in English, but I know some of you can read and understand a little bit better than you speak. So I really recommend it. It's called Puertorriqueños. Puertorriqueños, álbum de la Sagrada Familia Puertorriqueña a partir del 1898. In English, it will be something like Puerto Ricans, the Holy Family album of Puerto Ricans after the 1898, which is the time where the United States took possession of Puerto Rico. And I think it explains very well the different discussions between what is to be Puerto Rican and the processes of the people after the American invasion and the diaspora. So this book is a little bit old, is a little bit pricey, but if you look it up on PDF, you can definitely find it for free. For free.
Go check out also War on All Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, that's a more modern book, and that's more about like political. But this is more about like cultural understanding.
Middle school.
Nelson Dennis, War on All Puerto Ricans. It explains the colonization process in Puerto Rico.
In 7th grade.
What? Shit. Which one?
The War Against All Puerto Ricans, whatever the fuck.
Because you're a
fantastic book. Now, Tita recommended one. Listen, whatever the fuck, man. Tita recommended a book. I recommended a book. Now it's your turn, my Republican friend. See? That's all we need to know about Republicans. No book recommendations.
All right, forget it then.
You gotta have one.
He called you up.
He called me on.
You gotta have one, Luis. You're telling me you haven't read one book in the last year. Come on, you have to. Now he's gone mute.
He's been busy doing push-ups. Come on, guys. Saving the world is not easy. Come on.
Throw me a bone. Something.
I don't have one for you right now.
I'm gonna give you a homework. I'm gonna listen. When we're off this, you're gonna send me your address. Listen, you're gonna send me your address, and I'm gonna send you a book, a good one, so you can read it. But you have to read it.
I'll read it. No, send me the one you were talking about, the one you talked about one time when it was you and the other Luis in my life. We were talking about it's like Mensa.
Oh, that's a good book. I'll send it to you. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. The Rational Male.
I found the best comment of this night. I'll read it with his voice. Oh, espérate. Huasgler exists. I don't know what. Huasgler. Oh my God, bro. Come on, you're Dominican. How you doing this? Anyways, you don't represent Dominicans on Plátano Power. But this is his voice. Republicans, we do action, no reading.
¿Quién dice eso?
Action, no reading?
Action, no
reading. I know the action. The January 6th action.
Climbing up that hill.
I'm going to send you that book. When we talk, I'll DM you and I'll send you that book. I really want you to have that book. You're going to like that book. I'll send it to you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our other Mofongo Wars, our second one. We're going to keep doing it. Next week, we're going to go in Spanish. Because I promise, 1 week in English, 1 week in Spanish. Next week, Español Boricua.
Luis, don't leave yet. My roommate's like, this is the only book I read, apparently. Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss is great. Hey. It's Americana. It's good shit.
Wow.
I got no hate for Dr. Seuss.
Let's go.
No hate for Dr. Seuss. No, for real. I'm the author. Is a good person. Hey, you're killing the game, bro.
Work right there. That's your body saving your butt.
He did save your butt. You owe him dinner.
He's always there for me. Relax.
Hey, he saved your butt. And let me tell you, Dr. Seuss is good books.
It is.
Names.
It is good shit.
I like it.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Good night, everyone. Gracias y todos buenas noches. Thank you for coming. Next week,
Next week.
Mofongo Wars en español, cafretón. Con
Vale.
mucha palabra sucia. Mucha palabra horrible. Mamá huevo, cabrón, huele bicho.
Rascatranca.
Chupamofle. Pellizcamatre. All that shit. We're going to come hard. Hard in the paint.
All right.
Dañarropa.
Dañarropa. It's going to be good. Don't miss it. They're already laughing. Que tengan buen día, mi gente.
Chao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Chao, bellos.